I don't know about you, but one of the first things that I ever do when I'm playing with somebody's, we either come up with a chord progression or a tune that we both know, although I haven't played tunes for a while, but like, what are some of the tunes that you know?
I know a lot of tunes.
I know
so
you
it's
do.
probably easier to sort of go.
Okay, so some of the tunes that I know, Blue Bossa.
Sure, I was just thinking Blue
Were
Bossa.
you?
It's
Oh,
swear to God,
cool.
yeah.
Okay, let's
Yeah,
see.
okay.
Now the harp, I tuned it this. It's not in great tune. So I don't know how we'll do, but you know. Anyway, okay. So
So an intro.
By the way, this is.
wow, that was really good. I wasn't sure what to expect. It was so, and it's amazing because it's like, you want to start? You want me to start? Okay. So
Yeah,
it's like
sure.
so many things. It's like, so I don't know. You said you hadn't played for a while. You don't play with as many people. I play in like a zillion situations.
That's right.
Part of my job and part of what I love to do, and actually better than soloing, is fitting in. I love to
Right.
figure out what my role is and just like sort of listen to other people, and that's my strength. I sort of feel like.
I mean, I love actually when I first started playing jazz before I understood the traditions, not the traditions, but just that I was like, let's solo together, and people would be
This
like,
is like bizarre. Me too. This is what I was doing. I played like free jazz, where we just play at the same time. But why wouldn't you want to do that? Wouldn't you want to like have as improvisational as that possible?
And yet in the it's not tradition. That's not the word. Is not that I'm looking for, but the genre. The basic way of doing it. That's not how it happens. It's usually one person is soloing or blowing at once, while the others are in their roles.
Right. Exactly,
which is how you can immediately, if you're with a bigger group, play, and this is what I say to my students all the time, that structure of the three roles gives you the freedom to sit down and play with somebody.
Right.
And even us knowing that, okay, you're the clarinet, and I'm the accompany, how we started, so we started with just part of the tune, but it was also a 2, 5, 1.
Yeah.
And we knew that, because that's just something we know. And then what was most interesting to me was when you came back in with a melody, and it was very obvious to me that was gonna.
At the end.
It was clearly time for that.
Yeah.
I mean, not like it wasn't too late, it wasn't too early. It was exactly the time, and yet it was not big at all. It was actually small.
We did so quietly. I was like, and that just kind of happened. Yeah.
And I think that is so. That's one of the things that's so interesting to me about improvising with somebody else, is when you know that, and that's something I don't know how to even say to other people.
Exactly. It's fun because I teach, and I try to tell my students it just happens, or like, how does an instrument arrangement happen, and how did any of this happen? How did like I didn't even know when I started soloing. In other words, at some point I was playing more than you, but it wasn't like this delineated like, I'm going to solo now. It just seemed to happen.
Right. Another things that happened in my head is, because I haven't been playing these tunes for a while, when we got to the second half of the tune where it goes to the E flat minor, I was like, oh my God, I don't know what happens now. I don't know what chords I do now. What if I forget? So that certainly happens to me. Do you need water or something?
Probably good.
Okay, I'll get you some water. You can.
So it's pretty cool. We haven't played together in 30 years and didn't even play together that much then. And it's sort of like, so one thing, and you're on without you, of course. I'm talking to the camera.
That's great.
No dead time. So one of the things also is that, like, again, I probably don't. So all wonderful things that even subtle things, like at the end, we sort of repeated the tag.
Yeah.
And there's a little vamp between
the
two measures. So
sort of
do you do like the C to the B flat to the
A, whatever.
You say to the A flat to the G, right?
Well,
or whatever. But whatever you did.
Oh, I see.
You meant not even where you did this. I did like. So when I went back
you went further.
Well, yeah, or actually I put the A in between as a passing tone.
And I hung on the A.
Well, yes, exactly. So next time we adjusted, except I adjusted to you and you adjusted to me. So you had the exact conflict happening.
Right. Well, actually, I just kind of screwed up the note for the second time, so I wasn't adjusting to you. But thank you for thinking I was.
But so just things like sort of. So one of the things that's like you may not have to deal all the time with, because you don't do that many gigs other than your gigs.
Right.
But I play with sort of the general population so much. This is going to sound really harsh.
Oh, great. Let's get it on camera.
But there's nothing mean of it. No, not about it. Just like people who play jazz, and probably people who play any music, are evaluating everybody instantly on levels that people would not believe.
That's right.
If it wasn't sort of done in sort of like just a matter of fact neutral way, it could seem cruel.
Right.
I mean, because I'll determine everything about another player in like maybe 2 minutes. And I'll give them chances to sort of like disprove me, but it's not like I'm gonna hate them and it's not even just I won't like playing with them. It'll just be this is where I have to interact with this person. This is where I have to sort of make my skills meet theirs. And sometimes they're much better than me, and I have to like, oh God, what do I do here? But if they're not as good as me, I have to like figure out, or not as good
like,
maybe.
What do you mean by good? Do you mean like their time,
their time could be messed up. They don't know the harmony that well.
Okay,
they can't provide. If they're an accompanist, they can't really provide me with what I'm used to the accompanist providing me with. So it's not like better or worse. Although sometimes honestly it is like that, but sometimes it's just like that they can't provide what I expect them to do. So it's like
wow. So of course my first question is wow. No, my first question is like wow. So whatever happened, how is there a way to make it even more what you would expect? Like how could I?
What we just did? I mean, not really. No, that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't like give fake praise. No, it was great. It was like just so many nice moments happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of having a tune that everyone knows. Because then you can just then you're just it's like talking.
It is talking, yeah. So the term I use a lot and other people use is interactive.
Right.
And that so what I picked up right off the bat is that you listen. So that's the first thing. It's like someone could be like, have not much technique, not much sense of harmony, but if they listen, it's like, this is great. You'd be surprised at how many people just don't listen or don't know what to do with the listening. Like some people say, oh, this is really cool. Like, I play a phrase and you threw it back to me. That's sometimes cool.
And then sometimes I was thinking, like, that's so cliched. Why am I just doing that?
But the thing is that, like, sort of, again, this is my whole thing with the clarinet also. It's like, we can do, this is sort of, can be genre defying. Already, if you're a clarinet player, I'm not playing like Benny Goodman, I'm not playing like Sidney Bechet. It's sort of not like sort of going back into any particular genre. I mean, there's stuff I borrow from everything. There's stuff, including Brazilian stuff, whatever. But my whole thing is I like to be interactive. I like to sort of fit in with the other person and take both of us and make something different that hasn't happened before. And sort of when you said like the roles, it's like I don't want to be like in a role. I don't want to like. I mean, why can't I? Why does everyone else get to play like 20 chords and I just sit and play my one chorus and watch or listen? It's like, so I don't want to be playing all the time either. But just the fact that I could do things to integrate myself into their playing, if they're aware of it and they allow me to, and they know how to respond. And I know how to respond to them also.
So if they don't feel like you're in the way.
Yeah. So the response we're talking about here is definitely not like I copy what you do. It's more like, can I find like a little role for myself that can like allow you to solo and just maybe give you a voice that you say, this is really cool. It allows me to play differently because all of a sudden he's playing a bass line, or he's playing a passing chord, or he's playing a tension. That so I don't have to do it. It's like,
and
hopefully it worked like that.
And it'd be interesting to see what happens when we're playing more. And I was thinking, okay, so he is going to play. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So how much can I get out of the bass? Is he actually playing a bass line, but is it maybe here and not there? If I come up here, I was just those were all the things that I was thinking.
Kind of what you're supposed to, I mean, and like you've also probably never been in a situation where you're playing with someone like a horn player, and all of a sudden they're playing behind you. It's like, help! What do I do? This is so unusual. Why do I deal with it? So it's like, I mean,
I love it. I mean,
but in an improvised way.
One of the things I love about it is that I like this idea of how could we be another instrument how could we make a sound that integrates? Now I wonder if this is partly because we're both thinking
orchestratively. Definitely, yeah. This is so this duo I have with Bob Nesky. He's an arranger, I'm an arranger. And it's like, we never talk about anything. It just happens. We sometimes don't know how it happens. It's like, how do we get into that part at the same time, How do we know where the other one's going to go? Because if you're an orchestrator arranger, those things happen you're always structuring things, And sometimes part of the structure is unstructured. It's like part of the broader structure will have sections A and B structured, section C, the fourth time it comes around, won't be structured. So it's like, so that's in a structure in itself. So people have.
I want to talk more about structure because but I want to see if this is working. This one, because that's the one we can put up. All right, we were talking about structure.
Yeah, so you want to talk more about structure?
Yeah, I do want to talk about structure because my whole class that I'm doing right now is I just did a webinar called "Structure is Freedom."
This is like, are we the same person? Okay.
No, we're different people.
Okay.
But
so what I tell my students is like, this is going to sound horrible because this is not your image of jazz. Your image of jazz is like you're a doctor and just something to free you and just totally express yourself and say, but the most important thing in improvising is structure.
Right.
And I say to them,
Right.
I hate to say it because it's going to deflate your sense. It's going to take it out of the mystical realm and put it in a daily structure and organization.
Well, I've thought a lot about it, and I know that people often think that structure is something that's imposed upon you, but
restricting.
Right.
They think
but
that, yeah.
What about your skeleton? Your skeleton is an internal, flexible structure, and every person has a pretty much similar skeleton, but we're all completely different.
Interesting. Yeah.
And that's how
that's great.
That's how I think about
that's
how I think about how structures give you freedom.
That's great. Wow, that's great.
Support.
Yeah.
And so what I think is really interesting. So for example, we just played Blue Bossa, and it's an unusual form. It's just a 16-bar thing.
Yeah,
Are you supposed to repeat it or not repeat it?
People usually repeat it because it's so short.
Right.
But that's a whole other thing. So I was interested at the end.
Yes, me too.
I played it quietly. Yeah. I said, gosh, you're going to repeat it? I mean, honestly, because I probably do this much more than you do. Right. I'm saying, well, she may be expecting to repeat it.
Yep.
So I was like waiting for the very last section to see what you're doing. Even then I couldn't tell.
Because I didn't
on the
know.
Turnaround.
Because I didn't know. And then I was like, screw it, I want to hear this. No, I just wanted to hear it again. And I wanted to hear what would happen, and I wanted to hear where it would go. And
So I was kind of waiting for you to move.
Right.
Even though most of the time I'm the leader. And in fact, it sounded so nice being quiet, I was not going to repeat it. But then I heard, it sounds okay, you probably wanted to repeat it, which is fine. It's like, so all these decisions are made that wasn't even eye contact, that was just even listening.
That's right.
Purely me making a decision based on what I thought you might want to do.
That's right.
And again, not really know you that well.
That's right. And you're right, we really didn't have much eye contact, maybe just a tiny bit.
I usually often close my eyes when I play, except when I need to sort of...
I did notice I was making growling sounds.
And you personally, as a person with a harp?
I noticed. No, I was. And I remember asking my stepfather why some jazz person made growling sounds. And I don't remember what he answered, but I noticed that I do it, and it sometimes embarrasses me. But
I didn't know. It's probably very
good.
Cool. Probably means you're really locked in, in some sense.
Maybe.
So yes, the structure thing's so interesting. It's like the other thing I tell people is that I feel the only thing I have to offer. I don't have great technique. I've got a good sound. I've got a very, very good ear. My time is good, but not as good as I'd like it to be. The only thing I have to offer is I always have it. Ever since I was a kid, I sort of knew what I wanted to play. Not in general, but knew I wanted this thing to sound like something. This is going to be the way of time in the cat. Okay, I wanted this thing.
We can talk as long as.
So I wanted to I knew when I picked up the horn before everything.
Can I play while you're talking?
Yeah,
I don't know why, but I just want to hear what it would sound like if I play while you're talking.
So I knew that I have a sense this is what I want this to sound like. My whole life has been spent sometimes very frustratingly trying to develop the technique, both physically, technique, speed of notes, harmonically, knowledge of the music, so I can kind of execute what my vision was. At the same time, I'm trying to sort of develop my vision, kind of tame or fine-tune my vision so it was actually playable by myself and other musicians. Because my vision might have been that might have been, when I was 15, that's what I felt.
Now I want to play that.
Okay, so sometimes that's unplayable, not just because it's pretty clear in my head, but partially because I'm not 15 anymore. I don't hear that stuff. That stuff doesn't pull me anymore. That I don't mean that it's bad. Yeah. It's just I've developed my technical abilities. I've developed my ability to express music in other ways, and I haven't really sort of paid enough attention to that to really do it in a way that would sort of satisfy me.
So what would you call that? Or let me.
Okay, let's say free, wild, 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid expressing all the rage or frustration.
Yeah, I'd have to do that on the piano. If I were to do that, I'd have to do it.
Yeah, I'd probably do it on the piano too.
Wow.
Just not I'm a piano player, but just because I've developed all the other things I've tried to express are not reactions to that, not modifications to that, but the fact that I've gone in a different direction, and I want to embrace that. I want to get really good in that direction because that's what I hear now. So it's almost it's not fake, but it's I do it and I'd probably do exactly what I did, and I wouldn't exactly have the.
It wouldn't be. Yeah.
I wouldn't have the answer, the follow through that I do when I play the stuff I really have developed now.
So I'm just curious if you.
We can try it. Yeah.
No, we can try that too. But I don't have perfect pitch or anything like that. But like if we were going to play something and it's not a tune, and you were to just tell me what to play, even if it wasn't, I might not be able to follow harmonically.
I mean, pitch-wise, or okay,
no,
yeah,
just gesture or feeling-wise. Like if you were just to say, I have no idea.
I'd be much more comfortable just leading you.
Do it.
And
let's do it. And let's pick something.
Okay.
Could we stay within? I have no real. I don't. Well, you know what? I could try to follow you, but it would get atonal.
Well, but I'll follow you. That's okay. In other words, I'm comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable following someone.
So what so just for anybody listening to this, I am expressing my anxiety about the fact that A, I don't have perfect pitch. B, I'm playing an instrument it takes physical. I have to physically, literally. So this string has 3 positions. And depending on where I fit it on my feet. Half step.
Let's start.
Yep. And every one of the strings on this
While you talk, I'm going to play.
What do you Is this a tune that I should know? Okay.
No, we're just like making this up.
Okay,
good. This is what you fear doing.
Okay.
fun, God.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's the business phone.
We got a gig. We got a gig.
I'm gonna go and plug that baby.
Yeah. Wow, 1, 2, we got a gig already.
You know, it's so interesting because I can't play what I hear. And because I don't know where the notes are, because the notes sometimes aren't there.
They change every time.
Yeah, right. Well, like right now, that's how I just made a scale like that. But there was one point where I really wanted to go home. Harmonically.
Home being the B flat,
I don't even know what it was.
Really?
Because you may hear stuff like that. To me, it's this soup. You know.
Yeah.
Because I don't have perfect pitch, and I don't have all the notes at any one time.
Yeah. So it's even hard to have like relative pitch on your instrument because it's always changing.
Yeah. One string could have 3 different pitches at any time. So it's a really interesting experience. Because I could go for that note, but I had no idea where it was, and instead I went somewhere else that was a different harmonic choice, and it wasn't the choice that I made. It was the choice that happened.
Oh, interesting. It's like this is this is not like bragging or anything like this. It's just sort of most musicians who play monophonic instruments and stuff like that. I don't know most people. I mean, but partially. I'll play 200 gigs a year, 3 sets. How many notes would that be? In a year, there may be 4 notes that I would hear that I'm not expecting to hear, like a mistake or something that, like, you know, or not counting, let's say, slips of my fingers, or just sort of.
Okay. So you're saying that if you hear where I am harmonically, you can just fit into it.
Most of the time, it's honestly depends on the timbre of the instrument. So I have a hard time just No, it's not hearing it, just sort of necessarily identifying which is the sound, let's say, which is the root, or which is which is the lowest sound, or that.
Yeah,
you know.
interesting.
But, like when you went to like A flat, you might have been aware of, like, it's sort of like, or when you went to one point, it sounded like you were in D flat major. I was saying, are you still in B flat minor? And so a couple ways you can go, so it's how I interpret it. And a couple of times I kind of got off, but I figure it's easier for me to switch than for someone else to switch.
Yeah, and I just kind of gave up. I was like, I don't know, and I'm just going to move pedals, and I really don't know where I'm going. And I have to accept that, and I have to accept that I can feel like I should go somewhere right now, but I can't.
Could you
do it if
so
I was
could
singing.
Could you hear where you want to go and not be able to do it?
Maybe. I mean, I could. Sometimes I'm just following. What am I doing? I'm playing the pedals, and I'm playing it as if it were a percussion instrument almost.
Well, that I picked up on. So I said, I say, hey, she's playing a percussion, so why can't I just go?
Yeah.
And they said you locked into that really quickly.
Yeah.
But I felt like most of the time, it was half following you, half like leading you along. Also, half figuring out what you were doing. Then I'd say, okay, I can do this. Like towards the end, you were playing sort of that B flat minor thing, and I said, okay, I can put like dissonance to that. It was sounding really, really cool. So I started putting in more and more stuff, and like it seemed to work okay. A couple of times I was putting the major third against the minor third, and it didn't seem to bother you. It's like so it's all sort of, but also just the way these 2 instruments. This is so like transparent. Isn't I don't know if that's the right word. Is sort of, I guess maybe it is the right word. I don't know
you play the note and then it's gone.
Yeah. So it's like so easy to fit in with, because it's like I can play. There's not much clash involved.
Right.
It's your note's gone by the time.
Yeah,
so I can find it if I hit the wrong note or something, or a note I don't like, I can just like kind of be off of it in a second.
It's so interesting. I'm really feeling the lack of being able to get around on the instrument the way that I want, I've never been able to do that on harp ever.
Well, you know what? It's like I'm getting older. My fingers are getting stiffer. This is the great thing about improvising. I don't have the technique. I used to have moments I do. I'll put the horn down for like, not even a day. I'll put the horn down I played this morning. I put the horn down for 3 hours. It's like I'd never touched it before. So it takes a while. So I have to always work around my technical limitations. Just was always what I've done, but my technical limitations were of a different sort than they are now. So it's like I'm always rethinking things. It's like
that's interesting.
So it's kind of it's like part of in structuring. I have to structure. Okay, I can't play this note there. So I have to play this note here instead.
So what if we played something totally, totally different?
Okay.
like what if we played something, like let's make it in E flats miss.
Okay.
And what would happen if it was if it never went out of that mode? It was always in that mode or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know about that mode, but that scale,
Okay.
however you work, wherever it is, and it just and then let's just see what happens. So we're not going to change key. We're not going to go anywhere. And let's do the same thing, same kind of thing. And maybe I'll start it. So.
Book the studio. Seriously, this is awesome stuff. Wow. It's really good. I don't know if you feel like, it feels like so easy and beautiful. It's like the sound of the instruments. It's like this can just fit in the middle, this can sustain, this can have a little register. It's like, And things, this is very, it's an ensemble instrument. It's an orchestra. It's I play in a New Orleans style jazz band. So I'm always like coming up with a part that works around the melody. So I can do, in terms of structuring things, it's like, you can play that melody, I can answer you, but it doesn't sound like hokey to me. As answering often, it sounds more like orchestral. You know, the strings play something, the winds kind of like answer it lightly. You know, it's like you can change it. You know, it's just so many things going on there. You know, you can play any chord. Particularly in this case, it's an incredibly clarinet friendly key.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's good.
You can play like any chord. It seems like I can play any note and just sit on it. It'll sound good because if there's a clash, it's so subtle and light, you know. Yeah. So just play any same key, okay? I'm gonna play
same key? Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna play like any note.
Okay, you're gonna play any note.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll almost do it like systematically.
Okay.
You know, so obviously this isn't gonna work. Actually, even just stay on the same chord.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And I'll do the same. How does this tempo?
It's great, perfect. Okay. Yeah.
Try it again with when I'm not defining the chord quite as much.
So can I just say something? Okay.
Yeah.
So you can keep on. So I stayed on the one note that should have been awful, the A flat against your.
Yeah, but I really wanted to change. I
know, and I said, you know what? It's tension, and it's like it's so like light hitting over the head with it, sort of like almost like again what a 20th century composer might do.
So
put that note in to generate tension. It's like I'm not moving off it, and you're not moving. Just let it sit there. You did,
I know.
You did, but
Okay, and that was really interesting because I wasn't sure what was going on. I wasn't sure whether you were giving me space to change slightly.
Yeah. I did it strictly as a demonstration.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's matter of fact, let's do another level of dissonance because it's like this is what I tell people. Okay.
Cool. No, keep going.
This is what I tell people all the time. It's like, what's going to happen if I like play a note that really clashes with someone else?
Great.
Are they going to shoot me, arrest me?
Okay, cool.
It's going to sound like a clash. If you want that clash, that's great. And that clash isn't going to happen unless you put it there. You know what I mean?
Okay, all right.
So you do the same thing if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, I'll try to do exactly the same thing.
Yep.
If I can.
Sit there in that one chord.
A lot of emotional reactions to it. No. Like it seemed like there were 3 phrases.
Yeah.
And the first phrase seemed to make sense. Second phrase I really loved. Like the tension was so beautiful, and then it resolved. The third one, I was in World War II.
Too dark.
No, there was something about the phrase. It sounded like an air raid,
was certainly the most dissonant ones.
And there was also the mode you were going, bah.
Yeah,
not the mode, but the thing you did.
Well, because I stayed on it longer. So the first time you're playing an E flat chord, I started on an E. And held it a while.
Wow.
And it sounded weird, and I sort of resolved it to a F, which was one of those I played before. It sounded great. Second one, I picked these sort of randomly. Second one, I played a B.
Let's do it.
Okay. Here's E to F. So,
yeah, it does. I mean, I hear, what is that? I hear the air raid.
Yeah. Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a
And
very strong clash.
I really love the second one. You're playing B flat.
Yeah, the fact that they resolve quickly, wow. So it's like the Paggiatura, you know,
wow. And I guess I probably heard it within the harmony of the.
Yeah, and you didn't change, so it's like so the idea is like I wouldn't play that at a wedding. There are many instances where I wouldn't play for someone over 80 unless they were like a Stravinsky fan. But like, this is like. I was going to say 1984, 86. This is like whatever, 2018.
Hey, this is 1965. So like we can do whatever we want.
This is like 2018. Why can't I play that note? And I mean, is someone gonna? You know, it's like again. I understand they're probably not going to pay me to play that note, but that note is not inherently like the devil or anything like that. You know, it's like
that's interesting. It's interesting why they're not going to play. Why are they not going to pay you to play
that
note? Well,
honestly, I do that in a lot of places, and I mask it well.
I see.
You know, okay, do something else. I'm going to do this other thing.
Okay, I'm going to do something. So what kind of thing should I do?
I'm going to tell you in a second. Okay,
I feel like I'm in the schoolyard. Okay, you do this. Okay, you do this.
Sorry, yeah.
No, I love it. I love it.
Vamp on a C minor chord.
Okay,
C minor second.
So a vamp in meaning like just like.
Yeah. That would be great. Like yeah.
Wait a minute. Sorry.
This is getting kind of sophisticated for the listener, the viewer.
Well, we don't even know if anybody's going to be.
It's true, yeah.
So,
yeah.
And now I've lost my tuning key. No, not possible. No, okay, because we got to do this because this is too fun.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so talking about like what people are feeling when they're playing.
Yeah.
So we're playing that vamp thing all the same key.
Yeah.
So I was like sitting there going, well, this is a really pretty part. God, I wish I was more in tune. I was sharp. And I was thinking like, then I was thinking, what am I thinking about sharp for? Just play. And then I started thinking I should have put grease on the barrel so I could move the barrel. It was just, it's like, you know.
And I was thinking when we were playing something before, I was like, those thirds. Oh, God, thirds. I hate thirds. I really just.
Your thirds or your?
There were some thirds I played, and I was like, just don't ever play thirds. You know, just don't do it.
Oh God, there's no interval that's.
I know, but there's sometimes my tuning key. Here it is. God, not that it's gonna make any difference. Okay. No. I don't know which one's out of tune.
The other thing.
Which one?
That's
it's this one.
Well, I think it's me being sharp though.
Maybe, but I just want to get it in tune with itself. Okay, so let's see. Okay, that's better. Okay.
So the thing I've learned, this is crazy, is that I've played over 50 years of my life. Okay. Everyone looks to want to play like, find the hippest stuff to play lots of chops, play like imagination. I found that playing a wind instrument, the thing people react to most is if you're out of tune. People, you know, because if you play simply, people may just put you in like a different genre. Okay, that person doesn't play like Coltrane, but that's cool. I can deal with what they're dealing with. But if you play out of tune and have a crappy sound, everyone just sort of thinks you can't play.
Well, the harp is always out of tune.
Well, no, it's not for you. It's for me.
No,
it's just like a guitar's out of tune. It's like, you know, but the strings you can't keep them. But for a horn player, just to be, you know, we're all so focused on something else, and what people are concerned about is much more. People who play with are usually concerned with something much more basic, you know.
And also, I was thinking, I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm thinking I would love to try before we stop singing when you're playing. Just singing.
Me or you?
No,
both
me. Oh, well, we both could.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Oh, right.
Then I won't play. But
right.
But we get.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So you're gonna play in right.
Just that same thing over and over again.
Oh, sorry.
I love that.
That was a mistake.
That's what you meant to do. I loved it. Do it again.
I meant to do it later on.
Okay.
So I was just playing the same kind of lick. Just random keys. Not random keys, ones I selected. Ones I've actually done before, so it kind of sounds like. In particular over vamp, that kind of thing is like really, really, totally cool to do. Including one lick where I was starting on, you were playing a C minor chord, I was playing a...
Can you do it really slow? Just so I can hear. Whoa.
So, okay, I'll play first in the key.
Okay.
And what I do is I sort of, the further along your vamp, the tonalities of my head, the further I can go. So, let's see, here's F.
And you're playing chromatic exactly?
No, I'm modulating, taking basically the same lick or same sound.
And not within and it's exactly chromatic relationship. So like.
Yes, exactly, yeah. And here's the lick in C minor. Same lick in F minor. Again, C. E. Again. I'm playing fully in D, C major right here. All right, I can't do it again.
Wow.
Okay.
So I think you just said that the longer I've established this, the more further you can go.
Absolutely, yeah. And because it's in the ear. It's like I feel like the ear is my ear is I hear dissonance just like anybody else.
Right.
It's just I'm trying to sort of incorporate it. So I hear the dissonance. I start with a little bit of dissonance and then sort of add more and more to it. And it's like I don't know. It sounds okay. I mean.
Wow. So you can.
I do this a fair amount, even sort of like. Kind of folk
hey,
music.
What happens when you have a cold and you have?
You change what you play. Play simpler.
Well, what happens if you have a cough?
Change what you play.
Really?
I rarely cough when I'm actually playing.
Okay.
Sometimes. That's like really bona fide sick.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Going back to the
so
musical
so
questions.
it's like
double check and make sure it's on. It's on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what was I saying? So it's like I realize I'm creating tension. It's like. And again, what are they going to do? Beat me up? It's like someone's going to storm the gig and sort of say, "Hey, you can't do that."
So I'm just curious. Let's say we were having a conversation, and you did the same thing. You interjected some dissonance or tension in it. What would that look like? What would that sound like? We're having a conversation.
God, I can't believe I left my keys at home.
Really?
Yeah.
So.
Oh, did you see this guy? I can't believe this. I was coming over here, and the guy was walking down the street. And he looked at me like I was crazy. I thought he was going to beat me up or something like that.
Huh. So anyway, we're talking about dissonance, right?
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah.
Dissonance musically, I can't. Or dissonance.
Yeah, no, we were talking about. Well, we were talking about both. We were talking about what's the difference between the dissonance between the.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, what is dissonance like in a conversation?
Oh my God! Did you see the Red Sox won last night?
No, really.
I can't believe it.
I don't know if I'm interested in that or not.
All right. Don't be interested in it.
Okay. Oh, I see. So you can hand out the dissonance, but you can't take it.
That's great.
I was just curious. I was curious if the dissonance in the sound quality dissonance.
Sure, like speaking more in fact, like when you said you can hand it out but can't take it. It's like whoa.
Wow. Cool. Okay, so there could be dissonance in what you were saying, because you were saying, I see it now.
Do you hear that?
I can't hear it.
Come on, you can't hear it?
Well, now I can, because it's louder.
Yeah, okay.
But what was it before? And yet dissonance is very different in a musical context. Because, so I injected emotional dissonance, you injected sort of contextual dissonance.
Yeah.
But when we're playing, I can keep the same thing happening.
You can keep the same thing happening when we're playing.
Yeah.
Huh. and just
and the
get
thing
a,
happens,
get
and
a
we're
little
both,
bit
and we're
so a
dissonant.
little bit different. You basically keep the same thing happening, but change it a little bit. You're saying.
Well, you were playing dissonantly to me, yet we were still playing
but
together.
Yes, we're still. But
we
the
were
same,
able
but the
to,
same thing is happening, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
But we were actually both listening to it and both engaging in it.
But why is the same thing happening?
Why is the same thing happening in a conversation?
Yeah.
I think there's something different. Like, I think if I was saying the same thing over and over again, I think if I was saying the same thing over and over again, so if I was saying the same thing over and over again, if I was saying the same thing over again, I was just saying, but I mean, I think if I was saying the same thing over and over again, you could probably interact with it.
Well, I did, right?
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I kept on saying, why, what?
Oh.
Yeah, I changed my tone. I got it louder. So you didn't even realize it's dissonance, really, yeah.
And I was a little nervous because, like, am I pissing him off?
Oh, yeah, no, I was doing it was like
That's
repeating
great.
the same thing with different tonal inflections, jumping into different places. It's like,
And that's really interesting because that's what you started off saying. Was about the discomfort. Of dissonance. Even in music.
Yeah.
So, I'm just curious, what would happen?
Well, it could be really annoying too, right?
You could?
Oh, I mean, music, talking difference.
I guess
Yeah,
so.
it would be really annoying, right?
I suppose so.
Yeah, it could
I mean, if I was playing Memories from Cats.
It could be really, I mean, talking wise.
Now, are you trying to take the cabbage?
Okay.
Double check, just double check.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's really...
I love it. You're great. This is wonderful.
Oh, good. I love it too. But I think the thing is, you have to be willing to go there.
Oh, totally. The worst thing about this is being conservative. I mean, not conservative politically, but conservative, expression-wise. It's like.
Why are you saying it?
Conservative politically is much worse. But in terms of improvising, being conservative, I tell my students this all the time. It's like you just can't be conservative. I tell them you have to have confidence, and often it's fake confidence. It's like you have, just like theater, you have to practice sounding confident, even if you know it's. You're a fraud or it's not justified or anything, but you practice it just like you practice scales.
Practice?
Confidence.
Confidence. Wow. So.
I wish I could apply it to my personal life, but.
So tell me how I would. Tell me right now how I could practice confidence.
Musically?
Sure. Yeah.
I always tell them sort of construct solos with a purpose.
Okay.
And sort of like just stick to your purpose, just on your own.
Okay.
And don't back down from your purpose. So this is the other thing in terms of when I said when I was a kid, I always sort of knew what I wanted to play. So it's like I also tell them, you pick up the horn, you're doing something with it. What are you doing? Why you're playing the horn? These are for people. Many of them can't really play.
Right, but they can play. They can play at their technical level.
Right, but you see people with like tons of technique, and it's like they're trying. It's kind of like they're not saying anything. I hate using that term, but they're trying. They don't think about what they're sort of. Why are they playing? I mean, it sounds hokey, but you're trying to express an emotion or a feeling, and what is it they're trying to express? I don't mean like sadness or happiness necessarily, but just there's something going inside. That's why you spend all these years practicing. So what is it? So that's where you develop the confidence for. Most people say, I don't know, just play. I mean, someone told me how to play a scale. He said this is like in C Dorian, so I play in C Dorian. It's like, and that's like, so developing just just even that sort of knowing, okay, I'm here for a reason. Yes, I can't play. Yes, I feel like a fraud, but nonetheless, I have to project something.
Right.
And what is it? So you practice like, not so much soloing, just even playing ahead to something.
So that's really interesting. I mean, it reminds me that I have this project called Strings of Passion, and it kind of takes apart the creative expression into 7 parts. From creative impulse to actual creative expression. And it always starts with impulse. So creative impulse, and then you add structure to that. And then you add character. And then you add character to that. And So I think what you're saying is that regardless of your level of technique, you could play the gesture.
Absolutely, whatever you can. If it's like, you play a scale. I can know any other notes. Okay, here's what I'm going to play.
So what I hear you doing is you're playing with what you have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm imitating a person who might have just started. But the thing that you can learn notes, but you don't learn the confidence until you're much older, unfortunately. So I can say do that, but it's actually people are much too self-conscious. I don't blame them at all.
But the other, I hear you, and what I'm really seeing you do, what I just saw you do, was what I think I saw you do was, okay, I'm going to try to play a scale. Crap, I can't play a scale.
Yeah,
I can play three
exactly,
notes. Crap, I can't even play three notes.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm going to play one note.
Yeah.
I'm going to play with one note. I'm going to do everything I can with one note. I'm going to explore it.
Yeah, well, it's not somebody who's yes, it's explore, but also it's like I was playing someone who's a beginner that doesn't have even a good sound. They can't control the sound. That's very common on a wind instrument. You just can't keep can't keep the pitch constant. So I sort of let the sound go. First, I'm playing sort of unfocused because I can't even get the right. The sound would be. So I'm going. Well, then I'm letting it go flat, deliberate, which is easy to do if you can't. I mean, the sound tends to go flat if you can't support it. So I'm going. That's something. Not sure exactly what it expresses, but it expresses something. It felt like I was, for me, this music is all about creativity.
Right.
I didn't get into it to learn scales or play fast, or honestly to play in a pit orchestra or play in a symphony side, which is all wonderful stuff to do, obviously. What I did is a way to be creative. And if I didn't play clarinet, I'd do it on something I'd write, or I'd, whatever, I'd play on another instrument. But that for me was the motivation. And it still is. It's like sort of saying, wow, can I do this differently than I did before, and still have it feel like not contrived or forced, but sort of real. And so that you go into like what you're saying, what's the creative impulse? So this music, fortunately, a lot of it's feeling. Having an idea, what is it going to be wild, crazy, sort of, and the feeling on a wind instrument is actually probably harp too. It's not like this abstract term. You actually feel it. You feel it in your gut, and it comes out through your air. I couldn't play that unless I sort of like felt so relaxed. A classical person couldn't play it, most like just the way I couldn't play a pure classical sound at this point, because it's just I don't play. I don't have that kind of like definition or kind of like erectness, let's say, when I play. Then I love it. I love a classical player, just beautiful sound. It's incredible, but it's not me.
So it sounds like your body has enveloped itself around your sound.
Or vice versa. It's mutual, kind of.
Yeah.
Not sure which came first, actually, but yes.
You know what I want to do before we end?
What?
I want to go back and play Blue Bossa again.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do that.
All right.
Maybe even a little different. Okay, maybe a little faster. Wait a minute. What do you think about doing it faster? Thank you.
This is so much fun, really. It's like a...
But turn the camera.